I'm Alexander McCall Smith. As an author, people's stories are of the greatest possible interest for me. This World AIDS Day, I'd like to recommend to you a very special story about an organisation close to my heart. Waverley Care has been working to help people living with HIV and AIDS for over 20 years. This is how they're changing the story of HIV in Scotland. I think it's a very heartwarming story indeed. The story is about a man called Kellen McInnes, and he's HIV positive. Kellen's diagnosis was extremely traumatic. He felt unable to tell anyone he was HIV positive for fear of what they'd think. Even a few weeks later, when returning to the clinic, he saw someone he knew and shot down a side street to avoid them. He couldn't face the idea of anyone finding out that he was HIV positive. Kellen felt really isolated and unable to talk to anyone, so he turned to Waverley Care for help. A few weeks later, in a cafe, Kellen was introduced to a befriender called Richard. Having Richard to call on made a huge difference. Kellen was relieved to have a friend who he could be open with about his HIV, someone he could contact at times of crisis. But it wasn't all talk. They went to the cinema and to the gym together, and Kellen got back some sense of enjoyment of life. The years passed, and Kellen began to grow in confidence. He started to wonder what to do with the rest of his life. He was on treatment, and his HIV no longer felt terminal. Kellen decided that he wanted to be a Waverley Care befriender himself. He was introduced to Paul in a cafe, just as Richard had been introduced to him. They've now been friends for over a year. Kellen has commented that in some way HIV is the least of Paul's problems now. It's the effects of his mental health condition that he really needs support with, how to break the social isolation and just how to cope with life. Befriending for Kellen has been about giving something back. He really enjoys it and wishes that he'd started helping someone sooner. I think it's great to be part of Waverley Care, he said. They empower people by bringing them together to share experiences. Kellen has moved forward in his life and, over the last 4 years, has been writing a book that's published today called Caleb's List. I couldn't have done it without Waverley Care, he says. They've given me the self-confidence to not let HIV hold me back. This World AIDS Day, please help someone else, like Kellen, change their life and their story by supporting Waverley Care. Thank you.